Have you ever seen a family present their own daughter with official disownment papers as a birthday gift, all while filming her reaction for their twisted entertainment? That's precisely what happened to me on my 31st birthday. While most families offer jewelry or exotic vacations, mine orchestrated a public display of humiliation. My sister proudly held up her phone, recording this momentous occasion as I opened the envelope. My mother, beaming with a sense of accomplishment, announced, "From all of us. Hello, I'm Gianna Dixon, and I'm 31 years old. Today, I want to share the story of the most dramatic turnaround of my life, when my family disowned me, thinking I was nothing more than a failed waitress, completely unaware that I was about to step into the role of director at a billion-dollar hotel corporation. What they failed to grasp was that their cruelty was timed perfectly. I had already signed a contract that would change everything, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to the beginning of this incredible journey. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where in the world you're tuning in from. Growing up in the Dixon family meant constantly being measured against a yardstick of relentless success. My father, Robert Dixon, was the CFO of Temps Corporation, managing a staggering $500 million in annual revenue. My mother, Eleanor, ran the Eleanor Foundation with a $50 million budget, hosting extravagant galas that always made the society pages. My sister, Victoria, 3 years my senior, had just closed a $200 million acquisition as a senior associate at Baker and Associates. And then there was me, a hostess at the Meridian, Chicago's acclaimed 2 Michelin star restaurant, earning a respectable $65,000 a year. Last Thanksgiving, the inevitable comparison started even before the turkey was carved. "Gianna's still serving tables?" my mother inquired, her voice dripping with disappointment. My phone continued to buzz with family hatred. Tomorrow I would begin my new life. Tonight, I would raise a toast to the end of the old one. I stood up from my birthday table with the same poised confidence I used when serving heads of state at the Meridian. My family had expected devastation. Instead, they got dignity. "Thank you all for this clarity," I said, pulling on my coat with deliberate calm. "I wish you the best in your future endeavors." The corporate speak, their own carefully cultivated language, made my mother's face flush with anger. "Future endeavors where your family were," I corrected. According to this document, that ended at 7:43 p.m. tonight. Victoria's camera was still recording, capturing their stunned expressions instead of my tears. "You can't just leave. Watch me." I picked up my purse, the disownment letter safely inside. "This show is over, but mine starts tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. "What show?" my father demanded, half rising from his chair. "What are you talking about?" "You'll find out soon enough." I looked directly at Victoria's camera. "Make sure you save that footage. You'll want to remember this moment for reasons that are very different from what you think." My mother's voice cracked with rage. "If you walk out that door, Gianna Marie Dixon, you're finished. You'll have nothing. I already have everything I need." I paused at the entrance to the private room. "Oh, and Mother, you might want to prepare for the March 15th gala differently this year. The program has some surprises in store." The last thing I heard as I walked through the restaurant was Uncle Thomas exclaiming, "What the hell just happened in the parking lot?" My phone vibrated. "David Brennan, Grand Plaza, just called to verify your start date. I told them you're the best hire they'll ever make. Also, Marcus Whitmore himself called, said to tell you, welcome to the family that matters." Tomorrow simply couldn't come fast enough. My mother had tried one last approach through Mrs. Wellington, her former charity circuit friend. "Eleanor just wants to make amends, dear. She's changed." "That's wonderful for her journey," I'd responded. "I wish her well on it." The industry event was next week, the American Hospitality Awards. My family would be there. Victoria was desperately networking to save her practice. I'd see them across the ballroom, and I'd offer the same professional nod I'd give any stranger. My therapist had helped me understand. Forgiveness didn't require reconciliation. I could release the anger without opening the door. "You've built something remarkable," she noted, "not in spite of them, but because you finally chose yourself." The Disownment letter hung framed in my office, between my Forbes feature and my Northwestern diploma. Visitors always asked about it. "It's my freedom certificate," I'd explain. "The day my family gave me permission to succeed without them." Some were shocked. Others understood immediately. Those who'd also been deemed not enough by people who should have seen everything. Michael understood best. His own family had cut him off for choosing medicine over the family construction business. "We're professional orphans," he'd joke. "Who built better families?" He was right. My chosen family, David, Marcus, my team, Michael. They saw me. Really saw me. That was worth more than blood ever was. The journey from disowned daughter to senior director had taught me more about success than any MBA could have. Success wasn't about proving my family wrong. It was about proving myself right. I didn't hate them anymore. Hate required energy I preferred to invest elsewhere. They were just people who'd confused bloodline with love, status with worth, and control with care. My work had evolved beyond personal vindication. The Professional Orphan Support Group met monthly in Grand Plaza's conference room. She made it sound as if I was confessing to a heinous crime. At your age, I was already sitting on 3 boards. My father wouldn't even acknowledge my existence. When his business partner inquired about his daughters, he gestured solely toward Victoria. "This is Victoria, our lawyer. She handles all our complex negotiations." I stood right there, essentially invisible. Victoria had recently updated her LinkedIn profile, proud to be following in my parents' footsteps in business leadership. There was no mention of a sister. It was as if I'd been digitally scrubbed from the family narrative. But David Brennan, the Meridian's perceptive general manager, saw something they didn't. After I deftly handled a crisis involving Japanese executives the previous month, he pulled me aside. "Gianna, the way you managed the Yamamoto situation yesterday was truly exceptional. You didn't just salvage the evening, you transformed it into a $2 million catering contract." My family's response when I dared to mention it at dinner? "Lucky someone else was there to clean up the mess for you." They had no idea who had been observing that night. The exclusion started subtly but grew increasingly deliberate. January's charity gala, my mother's signature event, arrived without an invitation for me. "It wouldn't be appropriate, darling," she explained with a dismissive wave. "Our donors expect a certain caliber of attendee." The sting deepened when I saw Victoria's Instagram stories from the event. There she was, champagne flute in hand, standing exactly where I should have been, wearing the self-satisfied smile of someone who belonged. My father's quarterly investor dinners became another forbidden zone. I'd grown up attending those dinners, engaging with CEOs since I was 12. Now it was, "This is Victoria. She handles our legal affairs," he'd announce, while I surreptitiously served appetizers in my restaurant uniform, having rushed over after my shift to help. March 1st, 2024, 9 a.m. I walked into Grand Plaza's corporate headquarters wearing a brand new suit that cost more than my family ever thought I deserved to own. The security guard smiled warmly as he handed me my executive badge. "Clearance level 9, access to all floors, including the executive suite. Welcome, Director Dixon. Mr. Whitmore is expecting you." Director Dixon. Not Robert's disappointing daughter or Victoria's embarrassing sister. Just Director Dixon. My office was on the 47th floor, a corner unit with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Chicago's breathtaking skyline. A nameplate already sat on the desk, Gianna Dixon, Director of Guest Experience. Marcus entered with a warm, genuine smile. "How does it feel? Like coming home?" I admitted, finally feeling like I belonged. "Your team is waiting in conference room A, 25 of the industry's best, handpicked from our properties worldwide. Your budget is $5 million annually. Your first assignment?" He handed me a sleek folder. "Prepare the keynote speech for our Excellence in Hospitality Awards Gala on March 15th. My stomach did a subtle flip. The gala at the Grand Plaza Ballroom. The very one. 500 guests, CEOs from major hotel chains, influential investors controlling billions of dollars, journalists from Forbes and the Wall Street Journal. all gathered for the industry's most prestigious evening. We're announcing your appointment there. He paused, a hint of amusement in his eyes. I believe your mother is on the organizing committee. Eleanor Dixon, co-chair of the Gala planning committee, for 3 years running. She would be there front and center, expecting another night of effortless networking and social climbing. She is, I confirmed, meeting his gaze. Excellent. I want you to speak about authentic service, about seeing people's true worth regardless of titles or social standing. Marcus's eyes sparkled. Think you can handle that? My phone buzzed. My mother was calling. 40 members now, all high achievers who'd been told they weren't enough by the people who should have been their cheerleaders. Family isn't who you're born to, I told them. It's who shows up when you're becoming who you're meant to be. The book agent had called again. Your story could help millions, Gianna. From disowned to director. It writes itself. Maybe, but first I had 5 more scholarships to fund, a wedding to plan, and a company to help lead. I thought about my family sometimes, usually triggered by small things. A mother-daughter lunch at nearby tables, sisters shopping together, father-daughter dances at weddings. The ache was there, but muted, like an old injury that only hurt when it rained. They'd given me a gift, really, not the inheritance or connections they'd thought made them valuable, but freedom. Freedom from seeking approval that would never come. Freedom from shrinking to fit their narrow definition of success. Freedom to discover that I was already enough, had always been enough, just never for them. Ready for the board meeting? My assistant asked. I stood, smoothing my dress, wearing my grandmother's pearls that I'd claimed despite my mother saying I hadn't earned them yet. I'd earned everything now on my own terms. The grapevine in Chicago's elite circles was efficient. By fall 2025, the complete picture of my family's collapse had emerged through whispered country club conversations and LinkedIn updates. My parents' divorce finalized in July. The family fortune, already diminished by my father's forced retirement, split badly. Mother got the Florida condo and half the remaining investments. Father kept the Chicago apartment, a 2-bedroom in Lakeview, a far cry from Lincoln Park luxury. Eleanor Dixon became Eleanor Matthews again, teaching sunrise yoga to retirees in Boca Raton. Her Instagram, which once showcased charity galas and designer goods, now featured meditation quotes and beach sunrises. Even family photos became strategic exercises in exclusion. The Dixon family Christmas card featured only 3 people. The photographer had been explicitly instructed to shoot only the immediate family. I learned about it when our cousin texted, asking if I was okay. You're being too sensitive, Victoria said dismissively when I confronted her. It's just business networking. What would you contribute? Wine recommendations? But David Brennan missed nothing. Your ability to read people is extraordinary, he told me after observing me effortlessly handle a table of Fortune 500 executives. That Japanese delegation specifically requested that you serve their private dinner next week. It's just hospitality, I replied, downplaying my skills. No, Gianna, David corrected me. It's a gift. And the right people will recognize it. That evening, as I cleared tables and my family attended yet another exclusive event I wasn't invited to, an email arrived that would change the entire course of my life. The sender was M. Whitmore at Grand Plaza Hotels. Com. The subject line read, regarding your exceptional service. My hands trembled as I opened it in the restaurant's break room. What my family stubbornly refused to acknowledge, the numbers simply couldn't conceal. I spoke 4 languages fluently: English, Japanese, French, and Arabic. My hospitality management degree from Northwestern came with a near-perfect 3.9 GPA and a thesis focused on cultural intelligence in luxury service. But to them, I was just someone who poured water and took orders. The Yamamoto incident alone should have opened their eyes. 8 months prior, CEO Yamamoto of Yamamoto Corporation arrived for his reservation only to discover that his table had been given away due to a system error. He was understandably furious, ready to leave and take his entire executive team with him. The maitre d' panicked. I declined the call. I can handle anything now, I said with newfound confidence. My assistant knocked softly on the door. Director Dixon, your mother's office has called 3 times. Should I put her through? No, I said firmly. I'm in meetings all day, all month actually. Are you ready to witness what happens when the people who discarded you are forced to watch your success unfold? Type yes in the comments. The next part is the moment we've all been waiting for, when karma finally comes full circle. Remember to hit that subscribe button to support the channel. March 15th, 7 p.m. The Grand Plaza Ballroom glittered with 500 of the hospitality industry's most influential figures. CEOs from major hotel chains, investors controlling billions of dollars, journalists from Forbes and the Wall Street Journal, all were gathered for the industry's most prestigious evening. My family's table held a prime location, a perk stemming from my mother's position on the committee. She donned her beloved Oscar de la Renta gown, the one she reserved for occasions that warranted photographic attention. My father sported a custom-made Armani tuxedo. Victoria had flown in all the way from New York, even missing depositions to attend what my mother grandly termed the networking event of the year. Eleanor Turner, the CEO of Turner Hospitality Group, air-kissed my mother, gushing, "You must be so proud of Victoria. I heard about the Singapore merger." My mother, beaming, gestured towards Victoria. "Oh yes, she's following in our footsteps beautifully. She's everything we could have hoped for in a daughter." Little did they know I was backstage, watching them work the room on the monitors. My mother was regaling the Hendersons with Victoria's latest achievement when her eyes fell upon the program. The color drained from her face as she took in the evening's agenda. Special announcement, Marcus Whitmore, CEO, followed by keynote address, Director Gianna Dixon. "Finding myself after losing everything," read one caption. The comments were turned off. Robert Dixon consulted part-time for small firms that didn't know his history. His LinkedIn quietly removed Themes Corporation from his current position. His last post, about embracing change, got 12 likes. Victoria's firm officially closed after 8 months. Her last 3 clients left when a competitor shared the Disownment video during a pitch, questioning her judgment and family values. She moved to Cleveland permanently, working as a contract attorney for a third of her previous salary. The family WhatsApp group had been deleted. The annual Dixon family reunion was canceled. Not enough people RSVP'd. The irony wasn't lost on me. They disowned me to protect their image, their status, their precious family reputation. In doing so, they destroyed all 3. The disownment letter they'd signed with such certainty had become a suicide note for the Dixon dynasty. They'd cut me out like a cancer, not realizing I was the only healthy tissue left. The letter they gave me became my liberation document, I told Michael over dinner, and their destruction warrant. So here we are. If you're watching this, maybe you're the family disappointment. The one who doesn't fit the mold. The one whose dreams don't match their demands. The one they tolerate at holidays, but never celebrate. Your worth isn't determined by their validation. Read that again. I spent 31 years believing I was failing because I didn't fit their definition of success. Turns out, their definition was the failure. Success isn't a title or a tax bracket. It's becoming who you're meant to be, not who they demand you to be. Sometimes losing toxic people is the only way to win. My family didn't abandon me. They freed me. The disownment letter they crafted to humiliate me became my permission slip to fly. Don't wait for apologies that may never come. Don't shrink yourself to fit in spaces that were never meant for you. I stepped in, bowed properly, and apologized in flawless Japanese. Not the textbook variety, but the kind that demonstrated a true understanding of the gravity of our mistake. I offered him our private dining room, personally curated a menu that reflected his hometown specialties, and spent 3 hours ensuring that every detail exceeded his expectations. By the end of the evening, Mr. Yamamoto didn't just forgive us. He signed a $2 million catering contract for his company's international conferences. He even presented me with his business card using both hands, a sign of profound respect. "Your daughter saved us," David told my mother when she came for lunch the following week. "She turned a potential disaster into our biggest corporate account." My mother's reaction? Well, thankfully someone with actual authority was there to close the deal. But someone else had been watching that night, Marcus Whitmore, the CEO of Grand Plaza Hotels, who had been dining at the adjacent table. He witnessed everything: my composure, my cultural fluency, my innate ability to transform a crisis into an opportunity. His email was succinct. "Ms. Dixon, I believe your talents are being wasted. Would you be open to a conversation about your future?" It was signed, Marcus Whitmore. My family thought I was a nobody, but Marcus Whitmore thought otherwise. The cost of staying silent was escalating in ways I could no longer ignore. My doctor's expression was grave during my checkup. "Your cortisol levels are dangerously high, Gianna. These panic attacks, the insomnia, your body is screaming for a change. This kind of sustained stress is aging you from the inside." 3 different anxiety medications sat untouched in my medicine cabinet. I'd begun experiencing debilitating migraines during family dinners, and my hands would tremble whenever my phone displayed my mother's name. "You're 31, my therapist gently reminded me. There must be some mistake. I heard her whisper to my father, showing him the program. Gianna Dixon is a common name, but a tremor in her voice betrayed her unease. The timing was too perfect. My cryptic warning about March 15th, the show I'd mentioned. Marcus took the stage for his introduction. My mother remained fixated on the program, her fingers clutching it so tightly the paper crackled. "Ladies and gentlemen," Marcus began, his voice commanding the room, "tonight we celebrate not just excellence, but transformation." He possessed the presence of someone who had built an empire from the ground up. The room fell silent, all 500 influential people hanging on his every word. "6 months ago," he continued, "I witnessed something remarkable, a crisis that could have cost us millions, handled with such grace and intelligence that it became a $50 million opportunity instead." The screens behind him showcased the Grand Plaza logo, which then transitioned to footage of our hotels worldwide. The person responsible spoke 4 languages fluently, understood cultural nuances that eluded our Harvard MBAs, and transformed an irate CEO into our biggest international partner. My mother was now leaning forward, a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. Victoria, ever the documentarian, had her phone out recording. "This individual," Marcus continued, "didn't possess the typical pedigree we usually recruit. No Wharton MBA, no family connections in hospitality. What they had was something rarer, an intuitive understanding that true luxury isn't about serving wealth, it's about serving humanity." He paused, allowing his words to resonate. They were working as a hostess, earning $65,000 a year, and being told daily that they weren't enough, that they were wasting their potential. A steely edge entered his voice. The people saying this had no idea what potential truly looked like. The camera operator panned across the audience. "Don't let their inability to see your worth convince you it doesn't exist. Create your own family. Mine includes a boss who saw potential where others saw problems, colleagues who became cheerleaders, and a partner who loves me without conditions. These people chose me. That matters more than blood ever did. I was disowned at 31. It was the best gift my family ever gave me. They thought they were writing me out of their story. Instead, they freed me to write my own. And this story, it's a bestseller. Your story can be, too. You just have to be brave enough to pick up the pen, set your boundaries, choose your worth, and build your life. The family you choose is worth more than the family you're born into. Trust me, I'm living proof. If this story resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear that their worth isn't determined by family approval. Subscribe to hear more stories about triumph over toxic relationships. Drop a comment about your own boundary-setting victories. Let's create a community of support. And remember, sometimes the family you choose is worth more than the family you're born into. See you in the next. Perhaps, moving on to the subsequent item or stage is what we should do now. When was the last time you made a decision without considering your family's reaction? I was unable to answer. Even my dating life had become a casualty. James, the investment banker I had been seeing, ended things after meeting my family. They spent the entire dinner explaining why you weren't good enough for me, he confessed. And you just sat there and took it? My bank account told another story of sacrifice. $3,000 donated to my mother's foundation in December, $5,000 in November for her special project. Family supports family, she would say, though the support only ever flowed in one direction. My savings had dwindled to almost nothing while I was funding their carefully curated image. The breaking point came when I uncovered the truth about my donations at a foundation board meeting I hadn't been invited to. My mother announced that I had personally contributed $50,000 that quarter. My money, presented as her own generosity. "You need boundaries," my doctor insisted, reviewing my latest test results. "This isn't sustainable. Your body won't tolerate this much longer." But how do you establish boundaries with people who don't believe you deserve them? Who see your very existence as nothing more than an extension of their own carefully crafted reputation? The answer was waiting in my inbox. Marcus Whitmore had sent a follow-up email. "Ms. Dixon, I don't make offers twice. Shall we discuss your worth?" The pressure intensified, like a pot about to boil over. My mother's text arrived on a Tuesday. "Need you to serve at the foundation gala. Wear your restaurant uniform. Unpaid, of course. It's for charity." When I hesitated, she added, "It's the least you can do, considering we're still claiming you as a dependent for tax purposes." My father's words cut even deeper during our monthly lunch. 31 years old, Gianna. When will you finally do something that makes us proud? Victoria had made partner by your age. My mother's face filled one of the screens for a brief moment. She offered a tight smile, still playing the part of the proud committee member. "Tonight, I am proud to introduce the newest member of our executive team. Someone who embodies everything Grand Plaza stands for. Someone who understands that excellence isn't inherited, it's earned." The lights dimmed slightly. Backstage, my heart pounded. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our new director of guest experience. Please welcome Gianna Dixon." The spotlight found me as I stepped from the wings. I had chosen my outfit with care, a black Valentino dress that whispered, rather than shouted, success, grandmother's pearl necklace that my mother had always deemed me unworthy of wearing, yet, and the executive pin Marcus would present to me on stage. The ballroom exploded in applause, followed by a ripple of surprised gasps of recognition. Asterisk the hostess from the Meridian, Robert Dixon's other daughter. Eleanor's disappointment personified. Asterisk, but I didn't look at them first. I looked at the cameras, at the journalists, at the CEOs who were now seeing me for who I truly was. Then, I found my family's table. My mother's champagne glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the table. The sound echoed in the sudden hush. My father's mouth opened and closed, like a fish gasping for air. Victoria's phone tumbled from her hands, landing on her plate with a clatter, still recording the tablecloth. I walked with the same poise I'd learned serving their friends, the same grace they'd said was wasted on just a hostess. Marcus met me center stage, pinning the executive badge to my dress with deliberate ceremony. "Director Dixon has already transformed our guest experience metrics by 15% in just 2 weeks, he announced. "She's the reason Yamamoto Corporation chose Grand Plaza for their $50 million expansion into North America." The screens behind us displayed my official portrait, my new title, my office. "I'm proud of my work," I said quietly, trying to assert myself. "Serving appetizers," he said dismissively, signaling for the check. "That's not a career. That's what college students do for beer money." Victoria's cruelty came disguised as fake concern. She forwarded me a job posting. Executive assistant wanted. Must be proficient in coffee preparation and calendar management. This seems more your speed. The CEO is single too. The attachment included a handwritten note. I could put in a word. It's time you faced reality about your limitations. My limitations? I had just helped the Meridian secure a James Beard nomination through my exceptional customer service scores, but they would never know because they would never bother to ask. The family's patience is wearing thin. My mother warned during what would prove to be our last phone call. Either step up or step aside. We can't keep making excuses for you at social events. Step aside from what? My own life. Marcus Whitmore's email had been sitting in my inbox for 3 agonizing days. That night, after crying in my car after another family dinner where I was treated like hired help, I finally typed my response. Mr. Whitmore, I'm ready to discuss my value. When can we meet? His reply arrived within minutes. If you've ever felt undervalued by the people who should be your biggest supporters, type, I relate in the comments below. The next part of this story will reveal that sometimes the people closest to us are the most blind to our true potential. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the dramatic climax of this story. February 28, 2024, 7 p.m. at Chateau Lumiere. My 31st birthday dinner, supposedly a celebration. My mother had insisted on the venue, Chicago's most exclusive French restaurant, where a single meal cost more than I earned in a week. We've reserved the private room, she announced, her voice sounding unusually cheerful. Then, devastating in its timing, a photo appeared from the Yamamoto dinner. Me speaking with the CEO while, visible in the background, my family sat at their table, oblivious to the deal being made just 3 feet away. My mother's face had gone from pale to gray. She knew now. They all knew. I approached the podium with the same calm I'd maintained through years of family dinners where I was the punchline. The microphone was clear, my voice steady. Thank you, Marcus, and thank you to Grand Plaza for seeing what others couldn't. I let my eyes sweep the room, pausing briefly on my family's table. Tonight, I want to talk about the true meaning of service. The audience leaned in. My mother sat frozen, her hands clenched in her lap. For 5 years, I served tables at the Meridian. I learned that every person who walks through our doors carries a story, a need, a hope for how they want to feel. True hospitality isn't about impressive titles or prestigious degrees. It's about seeing people, really seeing them. I clicked to my first slide, the new training program I developed. That's why I'm launching Grand Plaza's Frontline to Leadership initiative. We will train 100 frontline workers annually, promoting from within, recognizing that excellence often comes from unexpected places. The room erupted in applause. Several CEOs were taking notes. A video message played on the screens. CEO Yamamoto himself. Gianna Dixon understood our needs before we voiced them. She represents the future of international hospitality. Grand Plaza is fortunate to have her. I continued. I learned from serving thousands of guests that respect isn't about the size of the bill or the designer labels. It's about recognizing that every interaction is an opportunity to make someone feel valued. My father's face was turning purple. Victoria was typing furiously on her phone, probably trying to control the narrative. Extended family will be there, 15 people who love you. The guest list was meticulously strategic. Aunt Patricia, Uncle Thomas, cousins from the North Shore, all carefully selected as witnesses to whatever spectacle they had planned. Victoria arrived early, setting up what she claimed was a camera to capture cherished family memories. You'll want to remember this birthday, she said with a chilling smile, adjusting the angle to perfectly capture my seat. My mother ordered the Cristal champagne, $800 a bottle. Nothing but the best for such a special occasion, she announced loudly enough for neighboring tables to hear. She raised her glass for a toast. To Gianna's future, may it finally begin. The words felt more like a thinly veiled threat than a genuine blessing. My father kept glancing at his watch, as if timing some crucial event. Victoria couldn't stop smiling, her phone strategically positioned to record every detail. The cousins whispered conspiratorially amongst themselves, clearly in on whatever was about to unfold. We have something special for you tonight, my mother said, her smile as sharp as the knife beside her plate. What they didn't know was that I had already signed my contract with Grand Plaza on January 10th. My start date, March 1st, was less than 36 hours away. My resignation letter to the Meridian was already written, waiting in my drafts folder. Before we eat, my father announced, we have your gift. The room fell silent. Victoria pressed record. The verbal assault began even before the appetizers arrived, each family member taking their turn as if they had meticulously rehearsed it. 31 years, my mother began, her voice resonating throughout the private room. 31 years, and you still have nothing to show for it. We gave you every opportunity, my father added, pointedly avoiding my gaze. Private schools, college tuition, connections, all completely wasted. Victoria leaned forward, the camera still rolling. Tonight, we commit to redefining luxury service, not as subservience, but as expertise, not as hierarchy, but as humanity. The standing ovation began in the back and rolled forward like a wave. The moment I left the stage, my family rushed toward me like heat-seeking missiles. My mother reached me first, her committee badge swinging as she grabbed my arm. "Gianna, how could you not tell us?" Her voice was pitched high, with desperate confusion. "Tell you?" I gently removed her hand from my arm. "I was disowned, remember? February 28th, 7:43 p.m. You filmed it." "That was just, we were trying to motivate you." My father's attempt at an explanation fell flat. I pulled the disownment letter from my portfolio. I'd brought it specifically for this moment. "Your signatures suggest otherwise." "Quite clear, actually. Legal quality paper, too." Victoria pushed forward. "You can't do this to family. This is cruel." "Cruel?" I kept my voice professionally modulated, aware of the watching crowd. "Like giving someone disownment papers as a birthday gift while filming their reaction? This is different." My mother's voice cracked. "We're your family. We're asterisk." I corrected again. "You made that decision. I simply accepted your terms." Security appeared at my shoulder. Marcus had anticipated this. "Director Dixon, is everything all right? These people are causing a disturbance," I said calmly. "They're not on my approved contact list." My mother's gasp was audible. "Gianna, please. People are watching." "Yes, they are." I nodded to the Tribune photographer who'd captured her being guided away by security. "Your committee badge won't help you here, Mother. This is my venue now." As security escorted them out, I heard my father saying to anyone who'd listen, "There's been a misunderstanding. She's our daughter." "No," I said loud enough for the nearby tables to hear. "I'm Grand Plaza's director. You made sure I wasn't your daughter anymore. You embarrass us, Gianna. Every time we have to explain what our sister does for a living." "Still serving tables," she added with a sneer. Aunt Patricia chimed in, her diamonds catching the light. "Oh, dear, at your age. Such a shame." Uncle Thomas nodded in agreement. "Your cousins are all directors, VPs, and you're, what's the term? A hostess?" Each word was precisely calculated, designed to inflict maximum damage. The waitstaff looked visibly uncomfortable, recognizing one of their own being publicly torn apart by her own family. I remained silent, calmly cutting my foie gras into perfect, even pieces. My unusual composure seemed to unsettle them. "Nothing to say?" My mother pressed, her voice laced with disdain. "No defense? No promises to do better?" "I'm listening," I replied simply. "Please continue." My unwavering calm seemed to throw them off script. Victoria zoomed in on my face, searching for the tears that refused to come. "We've been patient," my father said, attempting to regain control. "But patience has its limits." "So does family obligation," my mother added, reaching for her purse. "Which brings us to your gift." The gold envelope appeared like a formal verdict. The room held its breath. Victoria steadied her phone, determined not to miss a single second of my humiliation. "Happy birthday, Gianna," my mother said, sliding the envelope across the table. "From all of us." The envelope felt heavier than a simple piece of paper should. Inside, on Dixon family letterhead, the same letterhead my father used for million-dollar deals, was the cruelest birthday gift imaginable. "We, the Dixon family, hereby formally disown Gianna Marie Dixon, effective immediately. She is no longer recognized as a member of this family, entitled to no support, inheritance, or association with the Dixon name in any professional capacity." 3 signatures were scrawled at the bottom: Robert Dixon, Eleanor Dixon, and Victoria Dixon. The Chicago Tribune photographer had captured everything: my mother's shocked face, security's intervention, my father's desperate gestures. By morning, the image was front-page news in the business section. Charity Chair's shameful family secret ran above the fold. The article detailed the gala disruption, my promotion, and included a quote from an anonymous source about a birthday that backfired spectacularly. My phone showed the immediate fallout. The Eleanor Foundation's website crashed from traffic. 3 major donors, Henderson Corporation, Mitchell Enterprises, and the Blackwood Trust, released statements reassessing their partnership with the foundation. Combined, they represented 40% of the annual budget. The foundation's emergency board meeting was scheduled for Monday morning. The agenda leaked to the media. Vote of no confidence. Eleanor Dixon. Victoria's firm, Baker and Associates, issued an internal memo about maintaining professional standards in personal conduct. She was quietly moved from the Singapore merger to document review. The partnership track she'd worked towards for 7 years was indefinitely postponed. My father's company saw a 2% stock dip by market close Monday. Themes Corporation's board expressed concerns about leadership judgment and family stability affecting corporate image. The family WhatsApp group imploded. * Cousin Jennifer. This is humiliating. How could you not know? Uncle Thomas. We're all being asked about this at our clubs. Aunt Patricia. My charity luncheon was cancelled. They said the association was problematic. Meanwhile, my LinkedIn exploded with congratulations. Grand Plaza stock rose 3% on news of my hire and the viral positive coverage. Marcus forwarded me an email from the Japanese embassy. * We'd like to discuss Director Dixon leading our hospitality training exchange program. * The numbers didn't lie. Their cruelty had cost them everything. My dignity had gained me more. The date, February 28, 2024, my birthday. Victoria's camera captured everything. The slight tremor in my hands, the way I reread the letter twice, the deliberate way I folded it and placed it back in the envelope. The room was silent except for the soft jazz music playing in the background, a surreal soundtrack to my disinheritance. Well, my mother prompted, clearly expecting tears, begging, a dramatic scene worthy of Victoria's recording. I slipped the envelope into my purse with the same care I would use for a valuable contract. Thank you, I said, my voice as steady as granite. This makes everything easier. The confusion on their faces was almost worth the pain. Easier? My father sputtered, clearly caught off guard. You're giving me exactly what I need. I stood, placing my napkin neatly beside my untouched champagne glass. Written proof that I owe you absolutely nothing. Where are you going? My mother demanded, her voice laced with panic. The show isn't over. I looked at each of them. These people who shared my blood, but had never truly seen my worth. Victoria's camera was still rolling, capturing their bewilderment instead of my breakdown. My show starts tomorrow, I said, gathering my coat. And you're not invited. The last thing I heard was my mother's sharp intake of breath as I walked out, leaving them with their $800 champagne and their own mounting confusion. 8 months earlier, everything had changed in a single evening. The Yamamoto crisis had unfolded in full view of the restaurant's most prestigious guests, including a quiet man dining alone at table 12. Marcus Whitmore had watched me navigate the disaster with CEO Yamamoto. He observed how I seamlessly switched between English and Japanese, noticed how I interpreted the executive's body language, and saw me transform his initial fury into genuine satisfaction. While others saw a hostess managing a seating error, Marcus saw something far more profound. Monday, March 18th, 3 days after the gala, the foundation's board voted unanimously. Eleanor Dixon was removed as chair, effective immediately. The press release cited conduct unbecoming of foundation values and damage to donor relationships. My mother's resignation letter leaked within hours, a masterpiece of forced humility. * I take full responsibility for personal matters that have affected the foundation's reputation. * By Tuesday, the dominoes kept falling. She lost her position on the Art Institute board. The Women's Symphony Alliance asked her to take a sabbatical. The University Club revoked her membership pending review. My father faced his own reckoning. Themes Corporation's board strongly suggested early retirement to pursue other interests. The golden parachute was bronze at best, a third of what he'd have gotten in 2 years. Victoria's carefully curated image crumbled on LinkedIn. Her post about family values in business got ratioed with comments about the Disownment video, which someone had leaked. Baker and Associates transferred her to their Cleveland office, a career death sentence for someone who'd built their entire network in Chicago. The extended family distanced themselves, as if my failure was contagious in reverse. The same relatives who'd laughed at the Disownment video now pretended they'd never received it. Aunt Patricia told everyone she'd left before dessert. Uncle Thomas claimed he'd been appalled but too polite to intervene. My phone showed 53 missed calls from my mother, 41 from my father, and 97 texts from Victoria, all blocked at my request. The family estate lawyer called my office. Your parents are asking about modifying the Disownment document. Why would I modify a gift? I asked. I've already framed it. My first month's metrics at Grand Plaza exceeded every projection. Guest satisfaction jumped 15%, the highest increase in company history. The secret? You understood that man's real concern wasn't the table, Marcus would tell me later. It was about respect, about the potential loss of face. You restored his dignity while making him feel like royalty. That's not just service, that's art. After Mr. Yamamoto departed, Marcus approached David Brennan. The young woman who handled that situation, tell me about her. David's praise was effusive. Gianna Dixon is one of our best. She speaks 4 languages, never loses her composure, and remembers every guest's preferences. She's wasted as a hostess, but she won't leave. Family obligations, I believe. Marcus left his business card with David. Give this to her. Tell her I'd like to discuss her future. The email exchange that followed was meticulously careful and professional. Marcus didn't make any promises initially. He simply asked insightful questions. What did I envision as the future of luxury hospitality? How would I design a comprehensive guest experience program for international clients? What was holding me back from professional advancement? Family expectations, I wrote honestly. They simply don't understand this industry. Marcus replied, perhaps you need a new family, a professional one that recognizes talent when they see it. The Grand Plaza Hotel's logo in his signature line represented 32 properties worldwide, $3 billion in annual revenue, and a CEO who had just decided that I was worth recruiting. The interview process with Grand Plaza was unlike anything my family would have recognized as legitimate business. 5 rigorous rounds over 3 months, all conducted with absolute secrecy at Marcus's insistence. I want to evaluate you without any interference, he explained. No family connections, no preconceived notions, just your raw capabilities. The first interview was held at the Grand Plaza's flagship property. I treated every guest the way I'd wanted to be treated by my own family, with genuine respect. The Yamamoto expansion contract closed at $50 million, with CEO Yamamoto insisting I personally oversee the cultural integration program. My language skills and understanding of international business etiquette, things my family dismissed as parlor tricks, were now worth millions. Forbes called on a Tuesday, * we're featuring you in our 40 Under 40 Hospitality Leaders issue. Can we discuss your journey from hostess to director? * the article ran with a headline, Dixon proves experience trumps pedigree. They used a photo from the gala, me at the podium, confident and composed, while my family's shocked faces blurred in the background. The penthouse apartment Marcus had included in my package was worth $8,000 a month if rented normally. 42nd floor, Lake Michigan views, daily housekeeping. I hosted my first dinner party there for my real supporters, David Brennan, Jean-Pierre, the Meridian staff who'd seen my worth when my blood relatives couldn't. My team grew from 25 to 40 people. We launched partnerships with hospitality schools, offering paid internships to students from working-class backgrounds. The Gianna Dixon Fellowship would fund 5 full scholarships annually. The quarterly board meeting brought another surprise. Gianna, your impact has been extraordinary, Marcus announced. Effective immediately, you're promoted to senior director. Your new base is $400,000. My mother would hear about it, of course. Everyone in Chicago's business community would, but she'd have to read about it in the Tribune like everyone else. The reconciliation attempts began almost immediately, each more desperate than the last. An enormous bouquet arrived at my office Monday morning. White orchids, my favorite, that my mother suddenly remembered after years of buying me yellow roses I'm allergic to. The card read, "We're so proud of you. Love, Mom and Dad." I walked through the opulent marble lobby in my best suit, the one my family had always mocked for being too ambitious, and took the executive elevator to the 47th floor. The second round involved a challenging case study, design a complete guest experience program for Middle Eastern royalty visiting Chicago. I dedicated over 70 hours to researching, crafting a 40-page proposal that meticulously addressed everything from prayer room arrangements to dietary requirements that went far beyond basic halal compliance. "This is exceptional," the board member reviewing it commented. "You've considered details that our current team completely overlooked." Round 3 was with Marcus himself. "Tell me," he said, leaning forward, "what would you do if you had unlimited resources and no one telling you that you weren't good enough?" "I'd revolutionize how the luxury hospitality industry treats cultural intelligence," I answered with conviction. Not as an afterthought, but as the very foundation. The fourth round included a practical test. Handle a staged crisis involving actors playing difficult international guests. I resolved the situation in a mere 12 minutes. The actors even broke character to applaud my deft handling of the situation. The final round was the offer itself. January 10th, 2024, 3 p.m. Marcus slid the contract across his expansive desk. Director of Guest Experience, $285,000 base salary, $500,000 in equity vesting over 4 years, full benefits, and a penthouse apartment in our flagship property. My hand didn't tremble as I signed my name. "Welcome to your real family, Gianna," Marcus said with a warm smile. Start date, March 1st. After walking out of my birthday disaster, my family's cruelty escalated into a full-blown campaign. My mother's first text arrived within minutes. "You ungrateful brat. We gave you everything." My father's voicemail message was even more vitriolic. 31 years of investment completely wasted. I had my assistant return them with a note. Asterisk, no longer at this address. Asterisk, my father tried emailing my work account. It had already blocked all Dixon family domains per my security request. The auto-reply was professional. Asterisk, this sender is not authorized to contact Director Dixon. Asterisk, Victoria's LinkedIn request sat in pending purgatory. Her message. Asterisk, Gianna, we need to talk. This has gone too far. Family is family. Asterisk, I clicked decline without responding. Tuesday, they showed up at Grand Plaza's lobby. I watched on security monitors as they demanded to see me. Were her parents? My mother insisted to the guard. "I'm sorry," the guard replied, checking his screen. "You're not on Director Dixon's approved visitor list." This is ridiculous. My father's voice echoed in the marble lobby. Were her family? Security Chief Tom approached them. "Sir, ma'am, I need you to leave." Director Dixon's instructions were very clear. They tried twice more that week. Each time, security grew less patient. The third time, Tom mentioned trespassing charges. My mother resorted to mutual acquaintances. Mrs. Henderson called. "Your mother is devastated, Gianna." "She should have thought of that before the Disownment papers," I replied. Even Marcus received calls. "Your father offered a significant donation to get a meeting with you," he told me, amused. I told him, "Grand Plaza doesn't accept bribes." The boundaries were crystal clear. No contact, no exceptions, no reconciliation without accountability. And maybe not even then. 6 months later, September 2024, my life had transformed beyond recognition. The promotion to senior director came with a seat at the executive table, reporting directly to the board. Michael and I had been dating for 3 months. He was a cardiac surgeon at Northwestern Memorial, someone who understood long hours and family disappointments. We'd met at a charity gala, one my mother wasn't invited to anymore. "You're dead to us, Gianna." Dead. Victoria, ever the dedicated documentarian, had already posted the video to our family WhatsApp group, accompanied by the caption, "The moment Gianna finally got what she deserved." The extended family piled on immediately. About time, wrote cousin Jennifer. Maybe now she'll finally grow up. Pathetic reaction, Uncle Thomas added. Couldn't even cry properly. I sat in my car outside Chateau Lumiere, reading each message, without responding. Then, I drove to the Meridian, where Jean-Pierre, the restaurant manager who had known me for 5 years, took one look at my face and poured me a generous glass of wine. Rough night, Gianna? I took a deep breath. My family just disowned me, I said simply. On my birthday. His eyes widened in disbelief. Mon Dieu, I'm so sorry. Don't be, I said, raising my glass in a mock toast. It's the best gift they've ever given me. My phone buzzed again. Another family text. Don't bother coming to Easter or Christmas or any family event ever again. Perfect. I took a screenshot of everything, evidence for later, although they didn't know it yet. David Brennan appeared from his office. Gianna, I just got off the phone with Grand Plaza HR. They called for your reference verification. He beamed with pride. I gave you the highest recommendation of my entire career. Congratulations on the director position. Jean-Pierre nearly dropped his tray. Director Gianna? That's incredible. They really disowned you for being a hostess? He'd asked on our first date. Best thing that ever happened to me. I'd replied, meaning it. The Lakeshore Drive condo closing was Tuesday. 28th floor, 3 bedrooms, bought with my own money. No family trust, no parental cosign, just Gianna Dixon on the deed. I'd established the Dixon Hospitality Scholarship. My name, my rules, my money. 5 students from working-class backgrounds would attend hospitality school fully funded. The first recipient was a young woman from the South Side whose parents cleaned offices. She reminded me of myself before I learned to apologize for existing. The family updates came through Chicago's gossip network. My parents were divorcing. 34 years of marriage dissolved in mutual blame. Mother moved to Florida, teaching yoga and finding herself. Father stayed in Chicago, but sold the Lincoln Park mansion. Couldn't afford it on his reduced retirement. Victoria's solo practice struggled. Without the family name opening doors, she discovered what it meant to earn clients on merit alone. My phone showed 247 unread messages from them, all archived automatically to a folder I'd never open. The best indicator of my growth. I didn't feel vindicated anymore, just free. Ready for dinner? Michael asked, arriving at my office. Always, I said, leaving my director nameplate behind without a second thought. February 28th, 2025, 1 year since the Disownment dinner, I sat in my corner office reviewing the announcement. My engagement to Michael, the Paris proposal over New Year's, the June wedding planned for the Grand Plaza's rooftop garden. The 40% raise had pushed my compensation to $560,000. The C-suite track was no longer a possibility, but a timeline. 2 years, Marcus promised.